All right. Right now I'm about to start our quilt circle. And today I'm going to be making some flying geese blocks, which is a traditional quilt block. I'm making it for my going somewhere quilt, which is a pattern that I plan on writing up and releasing soon. And I'm using all Tula Pink fabrics, so I'm very excited about that. Please just chat. Throw anything you want in the chat. I'll answer questions. I'll talk about what I'm doing. I want to know what you guys are up to. So I'll keep monitoring that, and otherwise I'll just start making flying geese blocks. So the setup I have today, I'm trying to do like a wide angle thing because I'll need the machine, the pressing station, and the cutting mat all throughout making these. It's a compound block, which means using the method that I'm using, which means I'll alter between these three stations several times throughout making these. And right now I'm just starching fabric because I didn't do that before I cut the squares, which is when you're supposed to do it. But it doesn't matter for these blocks because these squares don't need to be super precise. Need 4. So the orange squares here are my background fabric. And this purple larger square that I grabbed is the feature fabric. So the feature squares, these big 10-inch squares, I bought already cut to this shape and size. There's a few different sizes of common pre-cuts that you can buy. And they come in packs with a lot of other, either multiple of the same fabric or one of each fabric from a collection. It can make making quilts faster, or it can allow you to have a much larger variety of fabrics without having to buy too many. So I'm still just preparing the squares. This is a very interesting method. It's not very intuitive for making flying geese block. If you don't know what flying geese blocks are, you will soon. They're very traditional, common quilting component element. A lot of times they're used just as blocks by themselves. A lot of times they're used as a component for star blocks, let's say. the best cut blocks So either my blocks or the blocks I purchased are not very straight. Either of those is likely. So KV, welcome to the chat. They ask, this is one of your brightly colored quilt sets. Yes, so I am making a series of quilts that are based on land, sea, and sky. So right now I'm working on land. I did put the schematics, mock-ups, whatever you call them, in the end screen. So if you stick around till the end, you can see what all of them are supposed to look like eventually. This part is really hard because I always make my seams too narrow. Got all sorts of tools here. I don't know. You get a very nice view of the pressing mat. Now you can illustrate this method in a nice, Instagram post or infographic, but it's always harder when you're actually doing it in real life. Welcome, Real False Prophet. Hope you enjoy what I'm doing today. Just making quilts. So it doesn't look much like a quilt block yet. I actually have a tailor's clapper, so I'm going to use the steam on my iron. And then the tailor's clapper. It's just a piece of hardwood. That's all it is. And something about the way it helps the steam dissipate makes the press on the seam nice and crisp. Got the second half. So, is anyone else working on a project right now, or today, or theoretically? This is happening largely because my seams were not straight. Also, irons are hot. You probably already knew that. But I tend to be extra afraid of them. I see some people putting their fingers in like places I wouldn't when it comes to an iron. That's why I got this little stiletto. Whoever cut these squares did not do a great job. The pre-cut ones, the ones I bought. I did a fine job cutting my background squares. So for each quilt in my Land, Sea, Sky series, I have 13 of these 10-inch squares. So I'll end up with 52 flying geese. That's for each of them. Yeah, see, this doesn't look like it's going to be anything useful, but it will, I promise you. This color palette for the land quilt is like orange, purple, and bright chartreusey greens. And those aren't colors that I would normally go for, but I actually think this one might end up being my favorite because it's very bright and very contrasty. But we'll see when they all get put together. Can you guys see the steam because the camera's right over the iron? Consider it a special effect. All right, so that's one flying geese block, sort of. It needs to be trimmed and made into an actual rectangle. Let me see if I'm going to be able to do that. Yes, it will be good. Is my chat not being responsive, or are you guys just very quiet today? Well, now I'm thinking my chat's just not responsive because I'm not seeing anyone. No one says anything soon, I'm going to have to go in and verify that everything's working. I'll have to stop quilting to do that. Oh, there you go. Real false prophet is kind of baked. That's good. I mean, if you're home and chillaxing. Thanks for responding, too. Are you a quilter? Nope. Okay. That's fine. Sometimes you're more mesmerized watching people do a craft that you have no idea, no expertise in. I like watching like the cookie bakers when they decorate the cookies. I can't do that at all. I've never tried, but I can already tell you I can't do that. But it's really fun to watch other people do it. I never really got into the makeup tutorial though. I know that's very popular with people. So I'm going to try to trim these down into, actual blocky rectangles. But you see, I have 4 of them. I promised it would make 4 flying geese. It did. Real false prophet is not crafty or artsy. That's okay. I actually never got into crafts until I was, an adult. And it's only because I found something, that let me express myself the way I like. I like big geometric shapes. And so quilting really worked for me. I got into it really fast. After I made my first quilt, I decided this is what I'm going to do. So trimming them down also takes a while. There's a nice, pretty rectangle block you can look at while I do the rest of these. And then you get to see what the next 10-inch square that I have. There are rulers that you can buy that makes this job a little quicker. But I'm not super into unitaskers. Don't like clutter. This all-purpose ruler works just fine. My rotary blade is dying on me again. Oops, that's not. It's also easier to do if I stand up, but I'm being lazy. Well, that's not so good. See how this one has the nice corners? This one does not. Did I cut it wrong? That's the right size, right? What it means is the angle that I made here was not great, which happens when your blocks start out not straight. Which I know the ones that I pre-bought probably weren't. I'll try to correct it better on my next block. See, this one's the counterpart. Probably when I piece together the final quilt, I will find a way to fudge that. Or just ignore it and hope no one notices. This one's kind of messed up too. Yep. All right, so what do we have next? This big bright one. They're all bright. These are Tula Pink fabrics, and she has very bold, colorful style. I'm actually going to get my square ruler and we can see how square these really aren't. This one's not so bad. It's a little bad on this side. I need some more background squares. So right now I'm just starching. This prevents stretching in the fabric when you're working with it. It also makes the seams pressing nice and crisp. It's optional. I don't do it for everything, and normally you do it before you cut the squares, but that would have required me to think ahead. Don't really need that. I'm going to use pins this time. Maybe I can keep it from shifting too much. So when I do this, the lines I drew don't line up. We'll make them line up, kind of fudge it. And then pin it. And of course, rotary cutter. You guys are still really silent. I can only talk to myself for so long. I wish I could sing because I'd fill the time doing that, but you don't want me to. So Real False Prophet really does want me to just talk to myself. Well, let's see. I can talk about more quilts. So I'm working on 3 projects actively right now. The other 2 are in the quilting phase. One of them is being hand quilted, which takes forever. One of them is being machine quilted, which normally doesn't take forever unless you pick a silly design. I'm not sure what you mean by slow mode things. I'm fairly new to Twitch, so if there's a Twitch setting that I don't know about, I would like to be enlightened. So the one on machine quilting, I'll just get back to talking about the one on machine quilting until there's something else to talk about. I picked a silly design that's going to take forever, but it needs to be finished next week because it's hanging in a show and it needs to be finished. I turned up the speed of my machine. Oh, okay. Thanks for letting me know about slow mode. I guess it's to prevent spam, like just constant spamming. I might turn that off for the next chat. I'd have to find it in the settings. I'm not very familiar. But I'll keep talking for those 30-second intervals. I have some future projects planned. Well, they're in the idea phase. One of them is a commission from a friend for a niece or nephew who will be born in a few months. And I really want to get started on it. I'm really excited about that project, but these also have deadlines too. So I can only really work on so many things at a time. I'm also planning on releasing a pattern soon and start the pattern test this week for that. So I'll have to meet pattern testers. So those are just people in the quilting community who will go through your pattern before you publish it and make sure the instructions make sense and the math is right. They're not just in the quilting community. They do that in like knitting and crochet and pretty much anything where you would sell a pattern. This work is kind of fun because I get to move back and forth between all three stations, which is more variety than just, doing the same thing for hours and hours. That's what I was doing this morning as I was trying to finish the quilt that needs to be done for the show. It's a lot of sitting at the machine followed by a lot of tying and burying ends into the quilt because I picked a very laborious design, which I've said before, but it's really bad. I'm mad at my old self for doing that. KV5, the pink and turquoise fabric is spectacular. Well, this is Tula Pink. Like I said, all her fabric, much of her fabric is very spectacular. I've got some other fun ones in the pile. I do like her very bright, high contrast fabrics. She has a lot of very busy, because these are less busy prints of hers, but she has some very busy prints with just like critters and flowers and stuff crawling around, and they're big. I was looking at some for the backings for these quilts. But I haven't found any that really go with it that I like. So I might just do solids for the back, unless someone can give me a reason not to. One reason I pick solids to do for the backs of my quilts is because they're cheaper than prints and you need a whole bunch of fabric for the back. So I need probably about 3 yards of fabric for the back of these, each of these quilts, and print fabric is usually 12 to 13 bucks, especially Tula Pink. But solids are usually $8 to $9 a yard. So you save some. And there's some other logistical reasons why solids are easier. Actually, I have a whole blog post about this on my website. About my favorite backings. When I want to really save money, I'll use bed sheets. You don't have as much of a selection, but they are much cheaper to get. And they're also big enough that you don't need to piece them all together to fit the back of a quilt. That black turned out really nice. I do occasionally batch these where I do all of the first seam and then press them all and then do all of the second seam. But none of the steps are really fun to just do repeatedly over and over again. Especially this part. This is my least favorite part of squaring up the blocks. You have to be kind of finicky and it's slow. It's the slowest part. And if I did all 52 blocks at the same time, I would probably go insane. All right, so I'm about ready to start the next square once I finish trimming these 2 blocks. Do you want me to do a purple one or a green one? I'm just letting you guys decide. If you don't respond, I'm going to do the one that's on top of my pile. That wasn't good. Oh, Disarray 10, welcome. They say 10, or they say green. Reading and quilting at the same time is actually pretty hard. So I'll do a green one next. Once I finish trimming these down. There we go, 4 of those. Disarray asks what they missed. Oh, let's do this one. I'm just doing the same thing over and over again, so you'll see. How's this one? It's a hexagon print with green and a little turquoise in there. So this is just spray starch. Just to add a little, I put way too much on this. A little structural integrity to the fabric. I need some background fabric. The spray starch doesn't really help me iron it, but it stiffens the fabric a little and keeps it from stretching when you're working with it. It's an optional step. Sometimes I do it when it makes sense, and sometimes I don't because it will just waste time. In this case, because I'm doing these compound blocks where I'm sewing, then cutting, then pressing, then sewing, and cutting and pressing, there's a lot of things that can warp the shape of the block. So I like to keep it nice and stiff. It also helps with pressing the seams so they lay nice and flat. And normally people would do this before they cut the blocks, but that would have, I don't know. This is fine. So what I'm doing, if you missed it, I'm drawing on the back of these with a pen. I'm just drawing it in half. This is actually a friction pen, so it erases with heat. So if I iron it, it'll erase. It doesn't really erase, it just becomes invisible. It can leave like a residue. I never use it on the front. I really could use whatever I wanted here, and since I'm drawing on the back and I'm drawing within the seam allowance. But I keep friction pens around, so that's what I'm using. This is very not square. Let me use If these were perfectly square, I wouldn't really need to line them up like this and pin them, but they're not. Desiree 10 asks, the email mentioned talking about life, so how's life? Life is okay. I got a haircut today. I'm making quilts. I would talk more as I'm sewing, but I don't know if you can hear me over the machine. I really jacked up the speed on it today. That sounds dangerous. Is it the talking while using the machine is dangerous, or does the machine sound loud and dangerous? Because you're right, talking when I'm doing anything is dangerous. I've got a blade here, I've got a hot iron. This could be really bad. The machine gun sounds? Oh. Okay, so my machine has an automatic thread cutter, and that's what you're hearing. like my machine. There's a lot of cool things. I don't know if you've noticed, but it has a knee lifter. I like the knee lifter. It means I can raise and lower the presser foot just by sticking my knee on it. I can show you next time I need to make a seam. Totally looks like a flying geese block, doesn't it? Holy man, it's been 48 minutes already? This is slow. Anyone who likes to finish anything quickly should not quilt. All right. This is my knee lifter. I don't know if you can tell, but magically, as I move my knee, the presser foot is lifting and lowering. Love it. And the automatic thread cutter. Which I can also do from my foot pedal. I'm afraid of using the one in the foot pedal. Sometimes I accidentally hit it and it really messes me up. Disarray says, somehow I have patience. Wait, I can't read and quilt at the same time. Yeah, okay. So learning a language and making a thing out of crafts is, I guess, different. I don't have the patience to learn a language. If I didn't know it when I was 3, I don't know it. I guess I kind of know Spanish, but that's because they made me take it in college. And I took it in high school so I could get into college. It is handy living in Arizona, knowing a little bit of Spanish. What languages do you kind of speak? The seam just isn't opening the way I want it to. All right, so you're actively learning Hindi and Mandarin kind of for a week. It's actually pretty cool. I've known some friends who like to learn languages. Now, if I recall, you studied linguistics. Do you think you're just interested in the language from a linguistic standpoint, or do you actually have a practical use to be learning these languages? I think this is the fastest I've ever used my machine. Normally prefer going slow, especially when I'm quilting with it. I like going slow, but these seams are pretty easy and don't need to be very precise. So. All right, so we're interested in German. Is there a reason German, or just that's the one you picked? A lot of people where I grew up spoke German. I grew up in Wisconsin, so there's a large German immigrant community there, but I never learned any. I'm technically part German. I've never used that part before. These are 4 flying geese blocks that need to be trimmed. This part I try to be careful with. Once you cut something, you can't really uncut it if you did it wrong. That doesn't seem right. No. This block is just going to be wonky, and that's the way it's going to be. Wonky block. Desiree says German was random high school choice, but it stuck for me. You said you had German people in Wisconsin. Yeah, Wisconsin's a lot of people with German heritage. Yeah, that's why. Wonky block. I figure that's okay if I have wonky blocks. It makes it look handmade, which is good because it is. I taught briefly at a high school in rural Wisconsin, and up until a few years before I got there, their local newspaper was still in German. And my grandfather on my mother's side, he's from German ancestry, but that side of the family had immigrated to the U.S. like generations before. A lot of German things have kind of seeped its way into being Wisconsin things, like polka and beer. And pretzels. I like pretzels. And sausages. Okay, it's a lot of food. Katie mentioned scrapbooking. Wow, I missed that. Thanks for letting me know. You should do more scrapbooking or anything fun. If I recall, you have an affinity for washi tape. So scrapbooking would be an amazing use for that. Then you can buy more washi tape and no one can judge you for it. German food is an excellent conversation choice. I don't know. I never particularly liked German food. I mean, it was there. So, like cheese and beer and stuff, that's good. But German entrees and stuff, never really liked sauerkraut. My mom does. Fortunately, my dad's side of the family is Italian, so I got a lot of Italian-inspired food growing up. And my dad's the one who does all the cooking, or did all the cooking. He still does all the cooking, let's be real. This block turned out wonky too. Whatever I did, I should have measured a little better. We won't have to tell people. Everything KV5 is listing is delicious until, I don't know, it's not a very healthy diet. That's how you get heart attack at 45. Actually, I bet if you look at the stats, Wisconsin probably has pretty high in the rates of heart disease. They're pretty high on the rates of alcoholism and drunk driving. Part of that is just because you can't get anywhere without cars. Desiree has been to Germany twice and avoided all the sauerkraut. Sauerkraut is fine. I don't crave it. Sometimes I'll put it on a brat just because that's what you're supposed to do. Normally I just do mustard and onions on my brats. A big Wisconsin thing is also tailgating. Wisconsinites tailgate anything. People were tailgating at a quilt show. Not just sports. They tailgate anything. Although tailgating at sports is also fun. I don't think I have the patience to do another one of these, so I will let you enjoy what I've done. So I did these 3. So I guess it takes me, I never know about quilting, but I guess it takes me 20 minutes to do each block, or each color. So that's good to know. I have 10 more of them to do for just for this quilt, and then 13 each for the other 2 quilts. So I'll be working on this a while. These I don't need to get done until April or so. Desiree asked what these are for. I'm writing a pattern. It's called the Going Somewhere quilt. And so these are going to be, I only really need 1 quilt to be featured on the cover and then also to kind of test the pattern. However, I've made this quilt twice already and I like it. And I like Tula Pink. So I thought, why not make 3 of them and it can be a series? As long as it takes to make these, they're really not difficult to make. And once I've made all these blocks, putting them together isn't hard at all. So if I don't pick really stupid quilting designs, I should be able to get these done pretty quick. And this one's a fun pattern. That's why I made it twice already. So keep an eye out on social and emails. I'll probably be working on these again and streaming it. KV5 says it's a great quilt pattern. Yeah, I do like it. It's a classic block, and flying geese that are chasing each other is a very classic motif in quilting, but I've tried to modernize it by offsetting the blocks. Actually, I will let you go because on the end screen I made layouts of what I want all these to look like. So instead of describing it to you and everything being theoretical, I'm just going to send you to the end screen. So it was really nice spending time with you, and I hope you follow, like me. You can see old stuff on YouTube, and I'll show you the quilts now.